Yeah, and then there are times when I don't want to have to spend money for things, but it just kind of happens, or I have to make a decision about whether or not I'm gonna just kind of live through something just to save the money when I could make things a little bit better for myself by spending some money. Like and this happened. This happened like a year ago, or something like that. This legal crossing. It's a legal sequence, right? I mean, they built this entire thing. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. You know, they built the entire thing because of what was happening to me. That's what they did. That's what they did, right? And they have all this. Right. Outlaw. I mean, why would you do this to someone? I mean, it's not even just that it happened in the first place, which is so terrible, right? But just to invest all this time and this money and all this other stuff, you know, in just trying to persecute one person all the time like this. 27337 AV307. That is, what is that? This is the Ocean State. Is that Rhode Island? I can't really tell. Can't remember. Yeah. So, for example, my phone, like last month, like the last week, the last couple of days of the last month, I lost the charger from my phone. You know, it could happen to anyone. I made a mistake of, I was charging my phone, and then I think I forgot that it was I was working on something else while I was charging my phone, and then when I didn't have my phone out of, like, I have my phone like somewhere else that I wasn't aware of it. It's just I never just like leave my phone anywhere. But then I think I must have just put my phone in my pocket and then forgotten the charger. And of course, you know, I'm never gonna see that charger again. Somebody took it. You know, because people, especially people, you know, people who are poor. There are a number of homeless people who just don't really think of stealing as like stealing. They're just like, well, you know, if you're dumb enough to leave it around, I'm gonna take it, and you should know that. So really, you're partially at fault. I mean, it's unfortunate. Really, homelessness. And people who are just chronically homeless. 86 VX. Why don't you just drop dead? Sorry. Anyway, so there are a number of people who are chronically homeless, which it's like society's failure in the first place. You know, they were born into a situation where they never learned any skills for anything. No social skills, no professional skills. You know, I mean, really, the time and the effort should be invested in training people who work in those places to deal with all of those issues. And I think, you know, you should have to have at least a bachelor's degree, you know, or higher to work in those places where there are so many. There are people who show up with so many issues, right? I mean, but they don't do that. And so, in the long run, it's kind of a waste of time. It's a waste of time that you just like shuffle these people from one shelter to another for years and years and years, and then they cycle through jails, and they cycle through mental institutions, and they cycle through bad housing situations, or they just stay in the homeless system for years and years and years. Some of them do get checks. I think a number of people do get checks, and I will tell you, you know, there are people who spend those things. Everybody waits for the first of the month, at the beginning of the month, and they do it. They go out, they spend it on hotels. They spend it on drugs. They spend it on just perfume and like all this other stuff. So when I talk about how it's hard for me not to spend money, it is. But at least I have a larger goal in mind, and I try to. I'm not spending my money on those things. Like if I have to stay somewhere, I go there. There were a couple times I had to stay like in a hotel or a hostel, but it was like the least expensive thing that I could find, and it was like either a genuine emergency or it was like one night here or there when I just absolutely knew that I had to get a break from being in the shelter. I just couldn't take anymore. So tired, so stressed out, not getting enough sleep, being stalked all the time, when I was out of the shelter, that kind of thing. But that was more last year when I was working. Right, when I was working, I had like a little bit more money to do that kind of thing with. But it's not like this thing where it's like I'm waiting for the beginning of the month so I can go out, and spend hundreds of dollars just to, you know what I mean? I mean, just to stay in a hotel and like order food every single night. I'm not doing that, but there are a lot of people who do that, right? And then the last 2 weeks of the month, they're crowding into the day shelters, you know, with totally broke. So that's not good, and it's really not the way that it should be. Whether or not they actually qualify for the checks that they get, I mean, I honestly couldn't say. I mean, I would say probably I don't really, in terms of my actual ability to function, I don't think that I really qualify for a disability check at this point in my life. I mean, my life has been ruined by getting involved with the mental health care system in the first place. It's a terrible system. There are many things wrong with it. I mean, every opportunity that I had was either destroyed or just so seriously affected by it in an adverse way that I was not able to move on from one thing to the next. My personality got screwed up. My social interactions got screwed up. I lost all of my old friends. You know, there was nothing. It was like a total, my life, and you can see what my life is like now. Look what's happened to me. I mean, who would really want to live like this? I don't want to live like this. You know, and in the sort of, you know, the whole video thing was made possible in the first place, and it's still continuing to be possible because I don't have the money to have my own place to live. You know, I mean, it's only going to be when I am sometime in the distant future, when I actually have the money to buy any kind of house at all, that I can be sure that there are no cameras in the place that I'm living, right? And it shouldn't be like that, and yet there it is. There it is. So, you know, is the money essential for me to be able to do the things that I need to be able to do to try to move on to the next thing? Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty essential. If it were taken away, I would live without it. You know, it'd be very difficult, you know, for me to, I would have to probably give up all the stuff in my storage unit, you know, everything that's in my storage unit that was like furniture and stuff from my apartment and everything else that I had there, I would just have to give it all away, throw it all away, because I definitely couldn't afford like the $165 a month for storage. That would happen immediately. You know, it's as far as like finding work is concerned, I mean, it's like I have not been able to find an apartment at all. You know, it's gone. I have been looking out pretty much almost every day, except for the times when I got to take a break from that too, because I've had yet another situation that didn't work out. You know, it's just not. I don't think I'm going to be able to find a regular place to live. I don't think I'm going to be able to find an actual apartment. I'm gonna, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get into an SRO for a while. You know, build up at least one positive landlord reference. It may be, it's going to be through some agency. You know, it's not going to be through a regular landlord. I mean, that is the extent of what Braintree Village has done to me. You know, in terms of, and Peabody Properties, and everybody else who is involved in getting me evicted from there. I mean, they have just destroyed. It's been more than a year since I got evicted from there. They never had a reason to evict me in the first place, and they have, you know, just destroyed my ability to get another place to live. It's going to be, it may be an entire other year, you know, saying I can get an SRO up, because there was an SRO that rejected me several months ago. They rejected me saying it was based on the eviction, but probably it's based on the search results in my name. You know, and people disappear. I'll initially contact landlords. Everyone who hasn't heard of me already, you know, the second they do one search of my name, they see that they don't want to rent to me, and I don't, you know, I'm going to be totally dependent on other people for food, shelter, and clothing for some time, you know, for quite some time. And when that's going to get better, I honestly don't know, you know, because the conglomerate has surrounded me with an identity that I can't undo it. There's nothing I can do until they decide to stop. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, the money is definitely allowing me to be more independent than I otherwise would be. I think most people probably, I think there are probably a number of people who don't use the money that way. It doesn't even occur to them to use the money that way. You know, to put it towards expenses that they have to pay out to be able to move on to the next thing. I don't think that they, I mean, yeah, they want to pay for their phones. You know, they want to pay for their phones and that kind of thing. But then I also know, and those people just are not. You know, I mean, again, the idea of putting people in support positions so that they can, you know, take as long as they need to take to, you know, re-educate people to be able to function in society. You know, it would be a lot of money up front, and you'd have to pay people decent wages, and you'd have to give them decent benefits. But in the long run, it would be worth it, because all you have right now is just like hundreds of people, you know, like crowding, like just cycling through the shelter system. Many of them getting money from the government, you know, many of them just ending up being incarcerated again, maybe with drug problems and all these other types of problems. It's just, you can take the same amount of money that you're spending on all of that stuff now, you know, including the legal system, which continues to be burdened with these people. I mean, they just move from one situation to another. You could take all the money that you're spending on all of it now, invest it in making homeless shelters, places of genuine re-education and stability and that kind of thing, and the result that you'll get will be far fewer issues. Yes, it will take a long time. There's some people who are just particularly difficult to deal with, but hey, at least here they are out here. You know what I mean? They're not in jail or whatever it is, or even living with their parents, that kind of thing, you know, or living with a girlfriend, living with a boyfriend who's unhelpful to them in some way, or just kind of trapped somewhere. You know, I mean, I know it's the kind of thing that people don't think about a lot, but these, you know, homeless people are not just like human garbage. They're human beings.